Hi there, I am Rosalind. You each from A Little R&R. Hi there, hi Erin, thank you for joining me. I blog at www.rosilindjukic.com, and I see that Judith is joining me as well. Welcome guys, I'm so glad you're here. Oh, hi. Hi, okay, Brandy, and I saw that Bridget came on too, my bestie. Awesome, I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm glad you guys are here because today I'm celebrating my 8th anniversary of marriage. This is so exciting. Hi, Brandy, it's so good that you're here. I'm so glad you joined me today. Thank you, Bridget. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. And so today, I'm going to share with you the biggest lesson that I have learned this year in marriage, and then I want to hear your guys' thoughts. I want to hear one of the biggest lessons that you have learned in marriage. Thank you so much, Judy. That is so nice. You're going to have an opportunity to share your biggest marriage advice before we end this scope today. Just a heads up, this scope is going to go up on my blog as soon as I'm done. I'm going to be sharing this because I want to share with my readers what your biggest marriage advice is. So be thinking about what you want to share, and then of course down in the little chat box down there you can let me know. And thank you for all the hearts. That's awesome. Y'all are the best. You really are. You guys are so encouraging. The biggest lesson that I have learned, and now I think I said I've been married for 8 years, so I'm a total newbie. We haven't even made it to double digits yet. But I've picked up a few things along the way because, you just kind of learn stuff. Oh, the biggest thing that I have learned this year is I cannot expect my husband to read my mind. Now, I know that kind of sounds like a dumb moment, but I don't know if you've all been there. But, my husband comes home from work and I'm frustrated, I'm tired. I'm still kind of in the ending stages of potty training my 3-year-old. And so, we have that, so massive loads of laundry. Yeah, my laundry room is pretty much full right now. And yeah, I know, isn't it funny? We're just so terrible at that. And so, he comes home and I'm expecting him to pitch in here and there, maybe help out, if I'm stuck with my hands in the dishwater to take our 3-year-old potty or something like that. And I just expect him to intuitively know what he needs to do, what my needs are, if I'm needing, a little bit of a boost or something like that. Hi, Kim, I'm so glad you're here. So when I need kind of like a little boost or whatever, I just expect him to intuitively know. Mount Never Rests is what we call our piles. Mount Never Rest. Yeah, that's exactly what mine is. Good morning, Kim. Mine is definitely Mount Never Rest because I find I'm doing laundry even on Sundays just to try to keep up so that it doesn't get overwhelming. At this point, with potty training. Once the stage is over, I hope it calms down a little bit at least. But I have boys, so you never know. They just like to get dirty all the time. But anyhow, so I have found that, so he'll come home and, and so I start getting frustrated when he's not reading my mind. And I'm just like, how do you not see that, I can't do that right now. I need somebody else to pitch in and all that. And so then I get upset. Then he's upset because I'm upset. He can't figure out why I'm upset. And then I'm upset because he can't read my mind and figure out why I'm upset. And then at the end of the day, it comes down to if I had just told him, if I had just communicated verbally what I needed, he would have been more than happy to help out. But what happened is that, my expectations got in the way, and what could have been a completely peaceful environment ended up being a lot of tension. I feel like you are a fly on the wall. Yeah. And I think this must be common. And my conclusion is, because as I've talked to other women, they've all said the same thing. It's like, that is exactly, you are describing exactly what goes on in our home. And the only conclusion, we just had this conversation last night. See, there you go. My conclusion is because I don't know. I mean, I don't know psychology or anything, but this is just my own thoughts. we're women, and we have women's intuition. We tend to read situations. We have that ability. Sometimes it seems so obvious to me, but to him it isn't. So that's exactly it. It seems obvious to me, but to him it isn't obvious. He's just like, I didn't know what you wanted. I'm like, how did you not know what I wanted? But again, I think it's because as women, we have that nurturing side of us, that intuition that enables us to read a situation and to conclude what is needed in that situation. They don't have that. There's no such thing as a man's intuition. There might be some men that are a little bit more intuitive than others, but I think overall it's not pretty much the case. They never see it the same way we do because they have different mindset. That's exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly it, Bridget. They have a completely different mindset. They're looking at a situation, and their brain is is on a totally different plane than ours. Doesn't mean that that they're not. That there's something missing there, or that, and what I don't like is when I see women in that type of a situation, and there's like that's just like a man. A man never knows. They know a lot of things. They're just not on the same page as us, and God created them that way. They're on a totally different page. They're on the page God created them to be, and we are on the page we're created to be on. But we need to have that communication. That's why communication is so important. So I've learned that. I put this in practice actually yesterday, where it was just like, I could feel the expectation rising. I think God has a real sense of humor, making men and women so different. I do too. It can be comical, and sometimes it can be a little bit frustrating, but at the end of the day, when we communicate and work together, then it can be something very beautiful and comical at the same time. But yes, I could feel this expectation in me rising yesterday. There was, I had this need, and I was expecting him to just, read the situation and conclude what I felt needed to be concluded from that situation. And it wasn't happening. And then I remembered, I find that our roles are reversed sometimes on an emotional level. At times they need us. Yes, that is true. That is very, very true. And I think when we communicate those needs, and it's not so obvious to me, this is what Brandy is saying, that is so true. That is true, because there are some times that they have needs that they start communicating to us, and we're like, wow, I didn't know that. And that is true. Very, very true. But yes, last night when I realized, my needs weren't being met, but I hadn't communicated what my needs were. And I thought, you know what? Okay, now is a good time to put this lesson to use the day before our anniversary. And I did, and I expressed to him what I needed, and then he was able to meet that need. And I realized, this does work. It does work. And so in my 8th year of marriage, this is what I have learned, that my husband can't read my mind, that if I need something, I just need to tell him. He's, my husband has always been more than willing to step in and help with the children, dishes, dinners, whatever. I was fortunate to have married a man who batched it for 10 years. And you're a wise woman. Well, sometimes not so wise, but yeah. But yes, he knows how to do all those things. He knows how to iron and clean and cook and all those things. Like I said, he was a bachelor for 10 years, so he learned all of that, and so he knows how to do that. He wants to step in. He wants to help. But what he wants me to do is he wants me to tell him what is needed. And so I think that sometimes we have, I think as women, we have this need to we feel this need to have our husbands just know. Mine rarely helped. Yeah, and mine wouldn't either if I didn't communicate the needs to him. He wants to. But he doesn't a lot because I don't tell him what I need, and so that's kind of what I'm kind of working on. I do try, to not abuse that, his good nature. They want us to get to the point. That is true. They do. They want us to get to the point. Just the facts. Mine will help when asked, yes, and so will mine. I do try not to abuse that in him because he does work very, very hard. And so, I do try to carry, the bulk of the load at home so that he's able to rest when he comes home, because he does need that, working shifts and all. But, it's, I'm very, very blessed with that. But I think as women, we do have this need that our husbands see and perceive and discern what our needs are without us having to communicate them. But I think, in marriage, this is one thing, and I didn't learn this all on my own, so this isn't my own wisdom. This is wisdom that I learned from my mom, is that, and my dad, is that, he doesn't want, Judith says he doesn't want the story, and I think that is most men. Yeah, I think that is as well. I think they just want to, don't tell me all the fluff around it. Just give me the facts. Mine has stepped in and does all the grocery shopping and now meal planning. Saw my plate was full. That is wonderful. I love it when I see that type of compromise in marriage. I think that is so wonderful to have that, because we do carry a lot, and I think sometimes we carry a lot more than what we even realize that we carry. And our plate does get full really fast, especially if we're homeschooling. I know you're homeschooling, Brandy, and so I know that is the case. Kim says, mine says, tell me what time it is, not how the watch works. I love that. That is really great. Great illustration. Yeah, that's true. But I think that, what I learned from my parents is that, we come into marriage, I think, with expectations, and what we feel like our rights are. And I think sometimes as women, we feel like that we have a right to our husbands reading a situation and responding. And Brandy says, story, yes, I tend to overdo the story and not the point. Yeah, I do too. Kim says, it's a little annoying in the moment. Yeah, it is. It is a little bit. So, thank you for inviting followers constantly. That is so nice. So kind of you. But yes, I think that, in this need that we have to have our needs perceived and answered without us having to communicate them, I think we begin to feel like that's a right that we have. And our husbands feel that they're at a disadvantage. I think a lot of men feel, in fact, intimidated by our feelings, by our emotions. And so, that's an intimidation for them. And so I feel that when we as women can lay down that right and say, you know what, this is, I'm not going to hang on to this right. I'm going to lay it down, and I'm going to communicate to him so that, his need is being met in the fact that he wants to meet that need but doesn't know how to. My needs, are at the end of the day being met. So what I really want is I really want him to respond to my needs. And so when I communicate that to him, then my needs are being met, his needs are being met, and we start working together in harmony, because we start laying down those rights. And I think that it removes that level of intimidation for them, trying to kind of read a situation and hoping they get the signals right. That is intimidating for men. Sometimes it's intimidating for us as women, to walk into a situation and, knowing that the expectation is that we have to read the signals and we have to make sure we get them right. Because if we don't, we might end up on a landmine. And, our husbands don't want to be in that situation. They'll do everything they can to avoid that situation, because if they read a wrong signal and say the wrong thing, and then we end up in tears, of frustration, then they're even more intimidated. And so I think that laying down that right removes all of that toxicity from the situation, and it brings a harmony into marriage. And so this is the one big lesson that I have learned this year in marriage. So now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. And I love that you guys have been so chatty with me today. I love that. I think that's so great. And so now I just want you to take a moment in the chat and let me know, what is the biggest lesson that you have learned in marriage, or what is your number one, your go-to marriage advice for new married couples? Because I think that would be so fun to kind of share back and forth with that. So 1, 2, 3, go. Share your best advice. I hope I can see all those little fingers flying across the keyboards right now on the other side of the screen, because I think it would be so great for everyone to kind of share back and forth what our best marriage advice is. So, and as I said, this Vox, oh my goodness, I'm on Voxer sometimes and Periscope sometimes. This Periscope is going to be going up on my blog today as I celebrate my 8th anniversary. And so it's a pretty exciting day. Anyone have any advice that they want to share? I hope so, because it would be really great to hear from you what your best advice is. Oh, Brandy says she's listening. Okay, well, now's the time to talk. Oh, well, thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. Yes, it is an exciting day. And oh, Kim is typing awesome. And you're single. Well, you know what? I will say, I didn't get married until I was 34. So I was single for a long time. But I picked up on things from my friends. So, I think even as single people, we can still give really wise advice, even if we're not married. It meant that she's listening in the marriage. Oh, okay. She says, never give up. Do special things for your husband. Awesome. Yes. Yes. Do special things for your husband. I think that is so important. That's one area where I feel like I'm weak at. I'm really, it's not, I think, acts of kindness are not really my strong suit as a love language. So that's one area I definitely need to work on. And I'm not married either, but I love listening to learn. See, that's me too. And look to my husband to fill the need only Jesus can. He is not Jesus. That is so important, Kim. That was one thing that I brought up a few weeks ago in one of my blog posts is that, you will not find happiness in marriage. You won't find that fulfillment in marriage. You'll find that in Jesus Christ. And I think if you put that pressure on your husband to make you happy, you're going to be disappointed. Happiness, joy needs to be found in Jesus Christ. And I think when two parties find that joy in Jesus Christ and they come together, then I think that joy will be there already in the marriage. Make him first, especially when you have kids. I often put our kids first. That's a mistake I make too. It really is, Brandy. It's a mistake that I make. And I love what you said about listening, because I meant to get back to that. That is one of my weakest points. I'm a really good talker. I'm a really bad listener. And so I need to listen more. Marriage is hard, especially if you're unequally yoked. It is. It is very hard because there is a major element there in the relationship that is missing. And that element is Jesus Christ. And that is really, I think, the super in the super glue that really holds a marriage together. And it's not to say that a marriage that's unequally can't work. It can, but it works so much better when Jesus is there. Mine as well, talker more than listener. That's what Brandy says. Yeah, I'm a really big talker. That's why I can get on Periscope. I could be on Periscope all day long and just chat with everyone because I'm a big talker. Absolutely. But I think, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and I think that's that way for a reason. So packing my husband's lunchbox, a very important way to do special things all the guys on his break see. Wow, I love that, Judy. I absolutely love that. It's such a small and simple thing, but it is such a big thing in the end. And you can see that in dating, you feel alone because the things that are most important are missing. Yes. Men are viewed more tough. I tend to think that he doesn't have the same emotions as me. That is so true, but they do. A great way to pour into your husband with the lunchbox. Yes, it is a great way. It is true. Our men do have emotions. And, I think sometimes we really need to respond to that. And so, yeah. Man, you guys are full of just awesome advice, and I'm just so glad that you guys chimed in today. And like I said, this is going to be going up on my blog here in about a half an hour, so that my readers can they'll be hearing your advice from me, because they obviously then they can't see the chat at the bottom when they're not on Periscope, but I wanted them to be able to hear that from you, my listeners. Brandy says sometimes I will leave a note in his clothes drawer, a surprise. Oh, that's so great. I absolutely love that. What a great idea. I'm going to have to steal that. I really am. That's just such a neat, special surprise. I love those little simple things. I think that the simplest things really mean the most, because I think they tend to get overlooked a lot. Kim says I stick Post-it notes on his steering wheel. Oh, that is awesome. I totally love that. That is great. Man, I just love these ideas. I do. I think these simple things, the lunch boxes, the notes, just listening, those are simple things. But I think the longer we're married, the fewer simple things we do, we tend to overthink giving our love. So texting, messaging, posting about him on Facebook, yes, absolutely. Just giving our husbands those praise. Films and movies and sitcoms are so full of man bashing, and I call it reverse chauvinism, where there's, the men are put down. And I always say, the balding over 40, overweight man is the most discriminated individual, because really they are. I mean, they get so much discrimination from women, so much bashing from women. They're made to be buffoons, and in the sitcoms, it's always the skinny. Yeah, it is true, isn't it, Kim? It's always the smart, skinny, corporate woman married to an overweight, buffoon who sits on the couch and drinks beer and watches football. And that is really the the image that we get of marriage today. And it's unfortunate because I think chauvinism was such a big thing, brought up in the with the women's rights movement and all of that. And what has happened is that women have overtaken men, and this is really part of the curse. This is what this was part of the curse in the Garden of Eden, where women have overtaken men. They weren't looking for equality; they were looking to be better, and that's what they have done. And so they have suppressed these men and their role and position in the home as a leader of the home. And I don't know very many, if any, men that really fit that description that what we see from coming from media today. How the idiotic men that really don't know anything. I don't really know that kind of a man. My husband definitely is not that kind of a man. And so I think that when they're continually bombarded with that message, they need to hear that praise from us. They need to know that we don't think of them that way. I know that was something my husband is really sensitive to. And so I'm really sensitive to always be praising him in front of people. Brandy says they should burn their underwear like we burn our bras. Just kidding. Yeah. that might not hold the same message. But yeah. I think we really have a responsibility that to, anytime we can. And this is something my mom taught me when I was younger, obviously before I was married, was, she just instilled in me and, said on numerous occasions, when you are in front of people, you need to always praise your husband. Never talk about his negative attributes. Only talk about his positive attributes, because your friends should always think that your husband is the greatest man alive. And, that's the way she always talked about my dad. She never mocked him in front of people. She never put him down. She never talked about his negative attributes. She only ever praised him. Yes, my mom is a very wise woman. She is. And I've learned so much from her. And so I always I saw that in her, and I just took that little piece of that little nugget of advice, and tucked it away. And that's why I was saying earlier, constantly, I don't know your name, so I always your screen name. I'm so sorry, but I know that you're in the Perry Sisters group, your Perry Sisters in Christ group, and so but that's why I was saying, I think even as single women. I think single women can offer a marriage advice. I don't know why they couldn't. I know as a single person. Now I was studying my married friends, and just taking little things that I saw, tucking them away, saying, one day I'm going to be married, and and I'm going to need that. But even more than that, so many things that you see, those little bits and pieces of things that you see in all of other people's marriages work not just in marriage, but just in relationship in general. And so I think that, when we understand how to build healthy relationships in general, it will help us in building a healthy marriage overall. And so, okay, now that we have chatted and rambled a little bit, I know I rambled a little bit. I mostly rambled. But I think it was very useful. This has been such a fun scope to do. Oh my goodness, I have had so much fun doing this, and so I'm so glad y'all joined me today. I am on here 2 to 3 times a day. Sometimes I make it on in the evening, sometimes not. Really, mostly depending on my husband's work schedule. But I do get on here in the mornings. This is wonderful. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you too, Brandy. I get on here in the mornings, and morning's my time. It's evening in the States. In some parts of the States, it's quite late. Yes, I thought it was awesome too, Kim. I really did. It was helpful for me. I got a lot of great ideas of things that I want to try to, just to make my husband feel special. But I'm on usually in the mornings talking about my Bible readings with Good Morning Girls. And if you don't know what Good Morning Girls is, it's an online Bible study where we read one chapter a day as we're reading through the Bible. And you can find us at goodmorninggirls.org. So after I do my morning Bible reading, I jump on here and I leave 2 scopes in the morning. I leave one in English and one in Croatian because I think most of you are regulars now with me, and so you know that I'm a missionary living in Croatia. And so, love GMG, that's how I found you. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, I'm so glad. Another Good Morning Girl. And so, I do that in the mornings, and then in the afternoons, usually I kind of piggyback on a blog post either that I've written before or a blog post that I've written that day, and just kind of get on here and kind of chat about that a little bit. And I love to get y'all's feedback. Usually in the afternoons is when in the afternoons my time, morning y'all's time, is when I like to get a little bit of feedback from you. So I'll often do question and answer times. And then in the evenings, I usually do something behind the blog. Just some little window into my home. That happens a lot less when my husband is first shift. So if you don't see me on here in the evenings, you probably know my husband is working first shift. This week is one of those. So I might not be on in the evenings at all this week. We'll see how it works out. So, but I am in here 2 to 3 times a day chatting with you guys. And so, you can catch me again, my blog post at www.rosilindjukic.com. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and Instagram. So I am definitely a social media junkie. I love social media, but the message that I'm always harping about social media is that Christians need to be on social media because it is the best way to get the gospel out in the furthest, get the gospel out the furthest and the widest. We don't even have to leave our home to be missionary. All we need is a computer and an internet connection, and we can be a missionary anywhere in the world and everywhere in the world. And so that's why I love social media, because I feel it is one of the best ways right now in this age of information technology to spread the gospel. So I am so glad you joined me. Thank you all for your advice. Thank you so much for chiming in. Thank you for all the hearts. So if you are on my blog right now and you're watching this recording and you've seen that I've kind of communicated a little bit with people, you probably can't see the chat at the bottom and all the little hearts floating at the top. That's why I was talking about the hearts, all my little Periscope love, and there's a lot of it floating up right now. You'll know this was recorded on Periscope. So that's why I've tried to, when I saw the comments, I tried to call out who was the one leaving the comment, so that if you're listening to this on my blog, you know what's happening. I'm not just kind of like randomly just pulling stuff out of the air, that I'm communicating with people that are here with me live on Periscope. So thank you for joining me, and I will see you tomorrow morning.